Hey guys, this is Mike Durr, the Kingwood Mortgage Guy, and this is take two of I guess it's a video in regards to money and when you may need money when you're going through a home buying transaction. Now, this started out as one thing. It's kind of evolved into something else. I think it's important information. I think there are a lot of people that this will be helpful information to. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as I possibly can. So here's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it home buying, why you may need to know when money is needed. Okay, first thing, I am the Kingwood Mortgage Guy. Here's my phone number, 281-348-9899. I work with Nation's Reliable Lending. I'm proud to work with them. And my NMLS number, 318989. And we are an equal housing opportunity lender. So here's why you may need to know why money is needed in a home buying timeline. And here's a series of some things that come to us from time to time. If you are transferring money from an investment account, this is happening right now. And a lot of times when you're taking money out of an investment account, you may want to maximize every chance that you have, particularly if the market is good. If you're withdrawing money from a retirement account, there's a process that happens that takes some time. And so if you know the timeline of when you're going to need that money, that may be helpful. If someone is going to give you a financial gift for a down payment, this is important for them because they may be taking it out of a retirement account or an investment account. If you're expecting a bonus from work, well, if you don't, the bonus is pretty much set in stone. You're going to get it on a certain date. You may need it before, or at least it would help you to plan to know so that we could plan the closing for that. And then if you're scrambling to have the down payment, this is not unusual where people are moving up to the place where they're going to have the money. They know they're going to have it, but they don't have it yet. And those are situations that are real. And then finally, if you're selling a home and you're going to use the equity on the home that you've just sold, that's another reason why knowing when you're going to get the money is kind of a critical factor. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to go through this. Time, money, and home buying. Buying a home, need money to close, and the money events. And the money events are when you need the money. So, and then this kind of lays it out. When you put the contract down, you're going to give earnest money and an option fee. So that's what I call a money event, and they're going to be in green. Then when you order your inspection, that's a money event because you have to pay the inspector. And then another money event during the process is when you have to order, or when we're going to order the appraisal. That again is a money event. And then finally, the last money event is when you're closing. That's when the rest of the money, it will be the money less your earnest money, less the appraisal fee. It'll be for your down payment and your closing cost, and that will be on the closing date. And that's the date that you'll actually take possession of the house. That's a funding date. This should have been in green, but it probably should have been in bold green because that's the biggest chunk of money that you're going to spend. But there are other things that happen that are required during the mortgage process so that the money is a critical factor. You've got a homeowner's insurance, real estate taxes, and homeowners association that happen afterward that I'm going to just touch base on just because I think it'll be helpful. So here we're going to go into the calendar, and on this particular example, we're going to use July 6th as the day that we put a contract in, and it's accepted, and we offer that with an earnest money check and an option fee check. So earnest money is generally 1% of the sales price, and an option check could be 100, 200, and whatever you negotiate on there. But this is going to be the start of our loan or the home buying process on the 6th. And so that's a money event. You're going to see that these are in green. The second thing is you want to have the inspection as soon as you possibly can. After you go into contract, you usually get anywhere from a 7 to 10 day option period that allows you to inspect the property to make sure that the property is a good property for you. And then the third group is that it's time to order the appraisal. So if you're going to look at here, though, from the contract, let's say that you have in this example, we're going to use a 10-day option period. So what we've done is we've gone 1, 2, 3. We've had our inspection. The inspection's come back pretty fast. It's a good chance that you'll either see the inspection on this Saturday or no later than Sunday. You'll probably have it Sunday. At worst case, you'd have it Monday. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to take that inspection report and you're going to look through it. You're going to see what the inspector says the property needs. You're going to go back to the seller and you're going to negotiate for him to fix the things that the inspector has said were a problem, and or maybe you're going to get some money for them based on him helping you with your closing costs with the money that he's going to offset the repairs with. So you've got some days to negotiate that, and what happens is the next money event is when we order the appraisal. Now, I've done it so that the actual 10-day period ended on the 16th. It's hard to order an appraisal on Sunday, so we waited till Monday. Now, any day during this period, if you had agreed to come to terms with the seller and you basically said the option fee's over, I'm happy, I'm going to buy this house, we could order this appraisal anytime earlier than that. This is kind of a worst case scenario, and I like to do that. I'd like to give you the worst case because that way you're happy when it's better. And so ordering the appraisal is a money event. Now, these three are the big money events during the process: the contract, inspection, and then when you order the appraisal. So now what we're going to do is we're going to anticipate, again, the worst case example is that it takes the appraisal. He's got to contact the seller's agent. He's got to make an appointment. He's got to go do his research. He actually goes to the property. He's going to measure the property, and then he's going to come back with a report. And there are a lot of rules that the appraisers have to follow, and I usually anticipate anywhere from 8 to 9 to even 10 days. In this example, I'm going to use a 10-day cycle for the appraisal to come back. That may be a little long. Hopefully it would come back earlier, but I'd rather plan for the worst again. So in this case, the appraisal's back on the 28th, and then a couple things happen when the appraisal gets back. We want to get that whole file into underwriting as soon after the appraisal as possible, and it's a big deal. So this is kind of a money event, because if you are transferring money, or if you've got money that needs to come from some other source at this point, this is when we need to have that money documented for the file, so that, because we're getting ready to send it to the underwriter. The file's going to the underwriter, so this is when the money needs to be in your bank account when we send the file to the underwriter. It's one of the most critical factors, and it's one of the things that will really put the brakes on a loan file if it's not in there. Okay, so when this happens, I probably could have painted this green, and notice it does happen that the day that we get the appraisal, the file goes to underwriting. In this case, I just put it as the next day. So if it goes in on the 29th, there's usually a 24 to 48 hour turn time between the time it actually comes back out of the underwriter's queue and the file is approved, and the file is generally approved with conditions. There's something that they like. There's some T's that we didn't cross, some I's that weren't dotted, or maybe it's some issues with the appraisal, whatever. And what we want to do is we want to react to that very quickly. And as soon as that file comes back from the underwriter, we're going to be contacting you if there's anything that you need. And sometimes there's not. Sometimes it may be from the title company. It may be from the appraiser. There's about 100 things that the underwriters look at. But we want to get that file back to the underwriter, resubmitted for our clear to close based on the conditions that they've given us for the approval. So this file comes in approved with conditions, and then we're going to resubmit as quickly as possible, depending on what we have to get, so that that file can get back into the underwriter for our clear to close. And then the next thing that happens is we resubmitted on the Thursday, and then it takes another day for the underwriter to look at it. Again, I'm going worst case scenario. It's not unusual for our underwriters to give us a clear to close over the weekend, but in this example, I'm using Monday the 8th as having that file clear to close. Now, it's kind of interesting. What happens here is that there's a requirement based on the new rules that came out in October that there are 3 days from this date and that we send out what we call as a final closing document, or a closing document which has all the numbers for your closing. And At that point, we can close pretty much any time. Well, depending on when that closing disclosure goes out, it allows us to close after we get our file clear to close. And I will tell you the earliest that we could possibly close would probably be this Tuesday, but it could be 10th, 11th, 12th. It just depends on when that closing disclosure goes out. So that's one of the new rules. And so this is why you may need to know when money is needed in a home buying thing. Our goal is to submit your file to underwriters 12 to 14 days prior to the designated closing date. When everyone agrees and all the components in the file are there, we can close early, and we love to close early. So that hopefully gives you some insight into that. Again, this is Mike Durr, the Kingwood Mortgage Guy. Hopefully this will find somebody, give some clarity as to what the process is like. And I hope that you call me if you have any particular questions. I'd love to hear from you. Again, my number is 281-348-9899. Talk to you soon. It's Kingwood Mortgage Guy signing out.